My name is Jerry Lacey. I've been an instructor at Mesa Community College for 27 years, teaching beginning through kind of intermediate SolidWorks, also solids, programming with the various CAM packages. And what we're looking at when we could see this is that we're going to be going in the design library. So I'll take a slightly different track here. Everybody has something that they use regularly, that they draw all the time, that it would be a lot easier if you just could drag and drop it. So that's kind of our goal. You have a lot of pre-defined items in here that you can work from, all organized into menus. I'm going to put those on the top level. And in the previous presentations that I've done, I did configurations, a CAM, kind of got tripped up on the CAM because I did not have my design libraries, and I thought I could kind of find my way through, and just realized how dependent I was on those items. So one of the things with the design library is that you know where it's located. Being that it's in program data, we are going to drag, there we go. We'll drag this up, and if you're in Windows 10, across the bar on the view over somewhere in here, you'll have the show hidden items, show extensions, and in Windows 11, we're going to be under the view, and you just want to make sure that your hidden items are there checked, because program data, otherwise, when you go to your C drive, does not show up. So let me go retrieve the, oh, there it is. I'm going to copy that file, and I'm just going to drop it into program data. And actually, I'm going to go the shortcut and just right-click on Design Library and say, open the folder, you go find it, I'll put it in there. All right, and then we're going to paste. And now this becomes something that is available. So I do want to open this real quick so that we can look at how it is, hopefully. Oh, where'd you go? Let's see. Did not make it there. Let's see if it's still finding it. All right, program data, design library 22. Well, that should have been where it goes. Let's see. All right, refresh is a good call. Thank you. So the C drill we can open. And so if coming from a manufacturing background, one of the things I want to be able to tell my machinist is that you can put a center drill in the end of this part, and there's all different sizes of center drills. So went into the machinery's handbook and made a number 1 center drill, a number 2 center drill, 3, 4, all the way on the sizes. So our basic process as we create these is to generate geometry, and it's showing me that there is a location and a plane, and then the cut revolve is actually the feature and the sketch. So everything with this library, with this L, is what's going to come into my part and be part of that feature. So I need something to apply that to. So we'll open up a sketch, do a circle. Doesn't really matter the size. That's maybe a little big. And we're going to extrude this out some distance. And I kind of like it when it goes that way. All right, so going and finding my center drill, I'm going to be able to drag and drop this geometry onto the face, and it's going to ask me a couple of questions. On the configuration, which one do I want? So a number 2 center drill. And what edge am I going to use for the location? All right, once that's in, I have all of the items completed, and that quick I have center drill of size. Now, when I was tinkering with this earlier, it was like, well, if I want to change the size, probably just better off deleting it and reinserting it rather than trying to mess around with the configurations or changing the design library. But it is possible, but probably beyond the scope here. So going into the drawing then, would go into my favorites and put a note on here. Number 2 center drill as needed. If this part isn't long enough or the manufacturing process isn't an advantage, I'm not going to require it, but it is available if they want to use it. All right, so let's create a favorite. Let's start a new, and it popped up, and I got to remember which way I'm going. So let's see, standard templates will probably work, and we'll stay in our part. Plane, open a sketch, and we'll go ahead and hide those guys. All right, so one of the things with creating this this design library, with creating this sketch, is I want to keep this simple. So as I mentioned, I'm looking for something that will help me with the CAM portion of this, the manufacturing and the programming. So if I have a part that has a radius or a chamfer, a fillet on one of the corners, it doesn't line up easily to pick for that geometry. So I create what's called a target, or what I call a target. And I don't really want it related to anything. You just draw a circle, a couple of lines, and a point, just for convenience. And we'll put a dimension on it. 1/2 inch is usually good. And it really does not need to be defined. So as long as that sketch is highlighted, sketch 1, as soon as I close it, it's still accessible over here. I want to do a file save as. And it's very important that that feature, that sketch is selected, because when we go find it, the library feature confused me when they made everything alphabetical. Let's see, so this is going to be a target, and it jumped over to the custom. So to be able to find that, C drive, program data. So a really good reason to change these two. I think I went too fast. Program data, SolidWorks. One of these is a really good reason to put these on the cloud. So I want to say, no, I thought I saw a 2022, so I'm going to stay with that one and hope for the best. And save it. All right, so I probably should have checked and made sure I put it there. All right, so there's my target. I'm going to do a new part. Let's just go in with the sketch. And extrude. And some distance. And hold down the control button there. Let's just do some fillets, and I'll exaggerate that. Let's see, 0.5, not too big. All right, so if I bring in a part, it's not at the origin, it's not any easy to work with shape, then I can drag and drop this shape onto my geometry, edit the sketch, and we'll fly that out of the way. And if I want to go intersection, grab the point and the 2 edges, and I can put that geometry in place. So when I'm establishing a coordinate system in the CAM package, I have an X direction, a Y direction, and a point for the origin. And that gives me something that I can program very easily too. I also have one that's for stock that if I have an oversized piece of geometry or oversized piece of material and I want to fit the geometry in it, but I don't want to do a lot of calculations, I can drag a rectangle in, put that in position, and then connect the dots. All right, so another one. Let's go ahead and delete that out, and I'll try it from here. Is my favorite going through the process of setting up a feature. Then is let's see, go back to that one. Let's see, control. Okay, control 1's not cooperating, so it looks like we're at spacebar. And so at some point, everybody wants to put a corner relief into a pocket. All right, so round tools do not cut square holes. The standard process would be just to draw a circle. The problem with the circle is I've got to do a second operation. I don't like it as much. Those geometries do okay, but I have a preferred. So I want to make that a feature that I can drag and drop and use pretty much throughout. All right, so I just need enough geometry to relate this, but I don't want to make it too complicated or make it too specific that I can't use it, well, pretty much everywhere. Oh, wrong one. Tell my students to watch out for that edit. All right, so new sketch and spacebar. We'll go back to. All right, so my feature, I'm going to create a 45-degree line. And the dimensions not real critical. The more dimensions that I put in, probably not really going to help much. So let's do something like that with a 3-point arc. And I'm going to figure out what I want for my corner relief. So if I need 0.5 millimeter, 20 thousandths, 2, and 1 extra decimal, doesn't ever hurt. There we go. All right, so I end up with a relation coincident, and trying to ignore those. A relation that's coincident. The angle doesn't really help or hurt. I usually end up at 45 degrees, but because I want to be able to go from, let's just say 0 over to 90, that one's moving a little bit. So I do need a diameter or radius. Then depending on the geometry, that's going to give me the most flexibility. So a little bit bigger than a 1/4 inch end mill to start with. And then at this point, I have enough geometry that if I wanted to do another sketch, I'm good. I could go ahead and save that sketch, grab the sketch geometry, drag and drop it in, and then tell it what kind of extrusion. If I want to create this further into a feature, I'm going to extrude cut. And then we'll go up to surface. So I really want to pick that surface because this may be a pocket that goes all the way through. It's something that will be in the selection that says, where do you want this to terminate at? Now, when I kind of did the experiment, I always think, wow, it'd be great to put in a couple of fillets so that this becomes tangency. So when I apply my toolpath, the toolpath says, oh, I can go all the way around this thing. I don't have to do any other selections or see it change direction. Well, when I added the fillet, it just made it more complicated. It was a lot easier to put this geometry in and add fillets or add additional afterwards. So again, keeping it simple, just what I need. I'm going to grab that cut extrude, make sure that it is highlighted, and the sketch will be automatically included. So when I do the save as, and I'm going to save my library feature, and it did revert, which is always the fun part, the next part that you save, and it puts it in the design library, and you go, how did it get there? Well, we always have to remember to navigate back to our project folder. So this is going to be my corner treatment. So corner, make sure it's not a part here. We're moving back to the library feature. And I will, it jumped again. I knew I should have copied it. All right, so let's navigate back in, program data. And I still haven't heard a really good explanation why we need to have program files, program data, and then the toolbox in separate locations. But I'm sure there's a very good reason. All right, so the design library, open it, and then we'll save it. All right, so rather than recreate this, I'm probably gonna mess that up. I'll just go ahead and close it. We'll recreate it. Any statement that starts off, oh, this is gonna be, yeah, probably best just to go this route. And I did that. All right, so as I'm going through my design process, I know that I want to make a pocket, and we'll put a few more dimensions on this one. I haven't tried it in this one. I have one Windows 11 computer that if you're using the sketch numeric input, it causes these dimensions to go to driven. So even though I like the sketch numeric input, I'm not using it because, well, managing the driven portion of it is kind of a pain. So let's just go ahead and we'll generate a box. Probably could have offset it. And I'll just put a basic size so that I know it's bigger than my 1/4 inch corner relief. Okay, so when I go into the extrude, give it some distance. That's going to be a little bit long for a 1/4 inch end mill, so keeping it at about 0.75. And did I accept, or am I just waiting for? There we go. All right. So the purpose here then is if we just put a fillet in there, well, I can't put a square peg into the rounded hole. So if I have something that fits in there fairly tight, then I want this corner relief to be able to provide that that square shape someplace to go. All right, so that looks like I kind of got it backwards, but I'm not worried yet. We have an edge. So each of the references is going to ask me for something. So edge 1, and I see the preview over here, maybe a little bit hard to see in that one, but it's asking for an along that edge. And my second one along that edge. The bottom edge, not sure why it asked for that one. So would have preferred just to go to the face. And it may have been because it was the a blind pocket rather than the through. All right, so that gives me the geometry. And to make the modification, let's see, somewhere there should be size dimensions. We expand that out. And if I wanted to override, then I could override those dimensions. Missing one, so I'll probably just have to get out of it, go ahead and accept it. Underneath the corner, so this is sort of linked back to the design library. I don't think it's set by default to be bidirectional or directional on the changes. If I edit that sketch though, and we go back to the front plane, now I have something that, even though I didn't worry about bringing in all four corners, I have something that I can continue to sketch. And we'll go vertical, and that will give me the mirror. Oh, went the wrong way. Let's go left to right instead of right to left, and mirror those entities. And control, and mirror those entities. And when I go back with my smart dimension and put a angle on the line, and it's already cut extrude, so all I have to do is accept it. And then if you haven't used the context box on the fillets, I highly recommend it. Let's see, I want to do about a 0.5 millimeter, maybe a millimeter. Let's tab, and hey, there's another tab to update your previews as you put in those numbers. Make that a little bit bigger. So the in context is that if I pick this other edge and you wait just a second, then you'll be able to do the connected, all of the verticals, everything, and everything attached. I just want the verticals. It finds those edges, which is going to be a lot easier than going through and picking each one of those individually. And go through. So when I put this into the CAM package now, and the tool is done pocketing this out, and I go to finish this surface, bringing the geometry into the size and the shape. When it gets to this point, it won't be a hard turn, or if this was a circle right on the corner, the tool wouldn't go in there anyway. So let's see. Yeah, I think that'll pretty much do it. I think everybody has something that they draw all of the time, that this would be a good application to, if you've drawn it by pieces more than once or twice, it's time to consider doing it as a design library feature. So I will open up to questions. You don't. Yeah, the context box is on automatically. So as soon as you apply the fillet, it's the second one. When you pick the second edge, you have to wait a second. You know, call it a. Yeah, it's the next one that is going to allow you to. Oh. Now, when you do the first one, it says, oh, you want one. When you pick any other edge, that's when it's going to jump over and allow you to expand those out. Now, I haven't tried that with the chamfer. So that would be a good quick experiment. Okay, that's nice and big. All right, so not so much with the chamfer, but definitely with the fillet. All right, other questions? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're gonna so like ours, because if you also if the design library, that program data is in a protected folder and you don't have permissions, the cloud or on the network have a common design library that everybody can pull the same information from. And as you're adding and taking away the features, if you've created it, chances are somebody else is too, so you might as well share it across the network. We're using Dropbox, so having a common Dropbox folder and everything pointed to it. Haven't run into too many issues with the naming going to the user, to the Dropbox, to the file locations and everything are pretty seamless to navigate. No, it's still there. it may not have the connection. That's probably a good point. Is if you are seeing that it is referencing back to the original geometry, that somebody changes that geometry and it pushes it into your part, we can always dissolve it and say now it's only geometry for this part. So I haven't seen any issues. I used to have more issues with the dissolve, so I don't remember if it's something in the options that says, "Hey, push that out," or make it a directional thing. But if you're not seeing it, then well, it's not a problem right now, anyways.